Hey guys, it's Mr. Kilburn. I'm going to do a couple examples here on completing the square to help you as you prepare to take your first regents. So Sean and Anthony are going to listen to this recording and they're just going to memorize all of it and enjoy it and love it and appreciate Mr. Kilburn doing it, I'm sure. A little bit of a smile, but not much. Okay, so the first one we're going to do has a leading coefficient of 1 and it's not set equal to 0. So as this is always the case, if it's not set equal to 0, that's your first job, is to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to start by adding 20 to both sides. So that gives me b squared plus 2b plus 20 equals 0. Now, again, the leading coefficient is 1. So I don't need to factor anything out. But if that weren't 1, my first job would be to factor out whatever that is. So here we go. B squared plus 2b, leave a space, plus 20 equals 0. Okay, now take half that linear term, square it. So half of 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. But I'm not just adding 1 to this side, I'm really adding 1 to this side also. So to keep that equation balanced, I need to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so I can rewrite this as b plus 1 squared, subtract 1 to both sides. And there you go. That's completing the square. That's in vertex form. So just as an aside, I know the vertex is located at -1, 19. Okay, so my next job is to solve it. It's set equal to 0. I can solve it relatively quickly. So first thing I want to do is subtract 19 to both sides. That gives me b plus 1 squared equals -19. Okay, now I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and you should notice something here. The square root of b plus 1 squared is just b plus 1. But over here, the square root of a -19, there's no real solution for that. Okay, so what's happening with this quadratic is the vertex is at -119. So let's just say it's like, let me do this. -119 is right here. So that's coming down and doing this. All right. How often is that hitting the x-axis? Right, it's not. So there's no solution here. So technically this would be 19i. Okay, subtract 1, and you would get b equals -1 plus or minus 19i. Plus or minus, okay? So there you go. There's no real solution. Okay, there's a solution, but it's imaginary. Okay, now let's do one in which, let's see here. How quickly this will erase? Not very quickly. There you go. Okay, the next one's going to have a leading coefficient that isn't 1. So let's try 6x squared minus 48 equals 12x. Okay, so again, the first thing I need to do is set this equal to 0. And I'm going to do that by subtracting 12x to both sides, which gives me 6x squared minus 12x minus 48 equals 0. Okay, so like I said, the leading coefficient is not 1, so whatever that is, that has to get factored out. So I'm going to factor 6 out. This gives me x squared minus 2x, leave the space, minus 48 equals 0. Half -2 is -1, square it, I get 1. But be careful, I'm not really adding 1 to this side, it's 6 times 1. So if I add 6 to that side, the left-hand side, I need to add 6 to the right-hand side as well. So here we go. Half that -2 is -1. Subtract 6 to both sides, minus 54 equals 0. Okay, it's set equal to 0, so now I should be in somewhat familiar territory. Add 54 to both sides. Gives me 6 times x minus 1 squared equals 54. Divide 6, divide 6. Move over here now. So I get x minus 1 squared equals 9. Take the square root of both sides. Gives me x minus 1 equals plus or minus 3. Add 1, add 1. I get x equals 1 plus 3 and 1 minus 3. Well, 1 plus 3 is 4, and 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Okay, so this one does have two zeros, two real solutions. Okay, so there's completing the square with leading coefficient 1 with completing the square to solve and determining that it has two real solutions, in this case 4 and negative 2. Hope that helped. Talk to you soon. Later, guys.